Hi, I'm Alex from the Zscaler Customer Success and Engineering team. In this series of short videos, we're taking a look at the baseline recommendations for the configuration of Zscaler Private Access. This is part 3, Understanding the Zero Trust Application Access Journey. The first thing to understand is that there are two different approaches to achieving Zero Trust Application Access. The fastest way to achieve Zero Trust is to define every known FQDN or IP address in application segments and user group access policy mappings, and then to create access to each application segment in advance of rollout. This approach requires innate knowledge of all applications inside your organization and risks blocking business activity for any applications or users missed as part of the initial rollout configuration. Additionally, this requires a very large effort before realizing any benefits. Zscaler recommends that an organization only use the day zero approach if it is confident that it can enumerate all applications and corresponding user access patterns. A slower but less disruptive way to roll out Zero Trust is to allow all authenticated users access to any private applications, which is very similar to the way that a traditional client-based VPN works. The organization can define a pattern-based application segment, or wildcard segment, with a private app space and a permissive allow policy that provides authenticated users access to all applications within this app space. By using this discovery-based Zero Trust approach, organizations can replace their VPN from day one without creating user experience or productivity problems. Additionally, ZPA is able to index all applications that are being accessed through itself this way. This allows it to discover and surface applications that users are accessing, which then allows you to further define application segment and access policy, using the discovered applications to create segments that are split from the catch-all pattern-based application segment. Since it's very rare for organizations to be able to fully map out all applications in use inside their organization, most of the time we find that the discovery-based approach is the much more realistic and feasible approach to starting on the Zero Trust application access journey. The journey in full then looks something like this. Stage 1 of the journey is the application discovery model we've just discussed. In this stage, ZPA operates as a VPN replacement. All users have access to all applications, with few exceptions for critical applications. The primary goal here is to index and discover applications. Security is not a primary concern yet. Note, however, that even at this stage, known critical applications should already be segmented. The second stage is the full critical application segmentation stage. At this stage, all critical applications are known or discovered and have been segmented. Non-critical applications that have been discovered have been placed in a few wide access segments. Discovery segments are disabled, and the default deny all policy is in place for applications that have not explicitly been placed in segments. The final stage of this journey is microsegmentation, or full Zero Trust application access. At this stage, all applications are in logical segments. Segment access is limited based on user identity and trust. Applications that should be accessible to most or all users will still be accessible via all user segments where appropriate. In order to achieve the best possible security level, it's important to understand that you should aim to achieve stage 3 of this Zero Trust application access journey. To understand how to get to stage 3, let's start at stage 1. In stage 1, the initial ZPA policy looks something like this. A forwarding policy is in place to forward all traffic to the ZPA cloud. The default timeout policy is configured with a 7-day reauthentication period. An access policy is configured on the basis of a wildcard segment that allows access to all applications for all users. App connector groups are aligned to data centers with app connectors in each data center. A single server group is used with dynamic server discovery. Wildcard application segments or groups are configured with all TCP and UDP ports except for DNS and on-access health check. Additional segments limited to specific users should be created for critical business applications. Applications accessed by your users through ZPA will be surfaced inside the ZPA admin console. These discovered applications can then be used to define new application segments which are themselves limited to specific users, allowing you to move closer to the end of the Zero Trust application access journey. To help you along the way, Zscaler includes AI-powered segment recommendations. Once this is active, ZPA will analyze user application access patterns in order to identify and group applications and users together. For example, if many users who are part of the same IDP group, say engineering, are all accessing a handful of applications, the AI-powered recommendation engine will recommend that these applications be grouped together into a segment with access allowed for members of the engineering group. By leveraging these AI-powered recommendations, you can move away from wide access segments towards segments where applications are only accessible by the users that need to have access to them. This allows you to achieve the full zero trust application access model. One thing we should understand is the difference between critical and regular applications. Business critical applications should be defined in their own application segments as soon as possible, ideally on day one. These critical business applications will for the most part be known. This will allow you to define application segments and access policy manually for these applications. Strict enforcement of access control should be in place, even at the cost of user experience, in order to protect your business critical applications. Regular applications can start as part of a wildcard or discovery segment. Discovered applications can be regularly reviewed, we suggest on a weekly basis. AI-powered recommendations will also be leveraged in order to create segments from applications discovered inside these wildcard segments. These can then be used to create specific application segments for specific applications with granular access policies defined per entity, i.e. by user or group, and application. Next, let's talk about what's required in order to start using Discovery. First, users should have Zscaler Client Connector on their devices, and ZPA should be enabled for at least half of all users in order to have a broad enough sample of users accessing applications. App connectors will need to be deployed for the majority of applications that need to be accessed, and dynamic server discovery should be the default option for server groups. One important thing to understand about discovery is that you should set a discovery deadline to disable wildcards and enforce zero trust. Because of the way wildcard app segments are configured to allow all users access to all applications, we want to avoid using these in the long term. Application discovery is suitable for first-time deployment. It's recommended that after 90 days, discovery segments be deleted and access be managed via per-application policies built on top of discovered segments only. Finally, here's a little bit more information about AI-powered application segmentation. These segments provide you with a confidence score based on multiple factors, i.e. domain name similarity, co-occurrence, IP similarity, port similarity, user or department purity, or number of transactions. This feature allows you to discover and create new application segments based on application similarity and/or user behavior. This also allows you to find missing applications for existing application segments and to easily merge them. The recommended segment engine therefore accelerates, moving from stage 2 to stage 3 of the Zero Trust application access journey. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.